Hello and welcome to another Walking Dead video. Today I want to do a top 10 video of the top 10 best episodes in the Walking Dead universe in 2021. And we have a lot to choose from. We have 5 seasons of content. We have season 6 and 7 of Fear, season 10 and 11 of The Walking Dead, and season 2 of World Beyond. So let's get right into this and go straight into number 10, which is Fear the Walking Dead, season 6, episode 11. This is the episode where we get introduced to Teddy. It is meant to be a West episode. However, I feel like it fails as a West episode. It's a really good Alicia episode. It is a really, really good Alicia episode. And that is why I just think it's a really fun episode. I really like how we get introduced to Teddy. It's a really good episode. It's very entertaining. It's very easy to watch. It's very well paced. It's just very fun. It looks really good. And I really like Alicia in this episode. Like, it's meant to be West. And it's a really bad West episode. I really don't like West. But Alicia shines in this episode. And Teddy at the end, great. Moving to 9th place is The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 2 Episode 7. And this is the best World Beyond episode ever out of the 2 seasons, in my opinion. Solely because it focuses mostly on the adult cast. It focuses mostly on Jadis, Huck, Dr. Belshaw, Leo. Like, the child actors are in this episode, however, they are not the point of the episode. They are useless. They play very little role in this episode because they can't do what the adults can, so they play a very little focus. And this is the most adult focused episode out of all the episodes, which is why it's my favourite. The pacing is great. I love Jadis in this episode. She is on point. She is just Sherlocking it around trying to figure out what happens. And we see the full extent of her villainy when she kills Dr. Belshaw. Perfect. This is a really good episode. It's very fun to watch. It's very good. It feels like a Walking Dead episode. In 8th place is Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 9. This is the Virginia episode, and I really like this episode just because it humanises Virginia. We do get the stupid EastEnders plot twist of, oh no, Dakota's my daughter. That was kind of annoying, but I liked how they dealt with Virginia. Like, Virginia was a really fun character to watch in this episode. I liked Morgan's speech. This is right off John Dory's death, and I feel like it's really good because you normally, in The Walking Dead at least, you either have episode 9 or episode 8 be the big episode, and one episode is just terrible. In Fear, both of those episodes were big episodes. We had the end of the key arc and John Dory's death in the other one. And this episode just did disappoint. Like, you would expect, okay, it's episode 9. It's meant to be a small episode because episode 8 was big. And it was a big episode. This episode ended the arc. It set up the end as the beginning arc. It killed off Virginia in a great way. I really liked what they did with Dakota. Like, they didn't like, oh, everyone, it's going to be another Charlie. They kind of still kept her on the side. June was the best in this episode, I feel, just because she went through the grieving process and just like straight out murdered Virginia. I love shock deaths. It was just so good. The pacing was great. It looked great. And I just like Virginia. Like, she was just doing this all for her daughter. And that was it. Like, they humanized her right at the end. And I really liked it. And it's a very fun episode to watch. And that is why it is here in number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 1. And just want to talk about the ending is the best part about the main plot. The main plot is slightly flawed with it moving on quite fast. A lot happens. However, in that a lot happens and the plot being rushed a little, we get very good and a lot of Negan and Maggie conflict. That's kind of the best part of that plot. And the ending is just perfect with Negan leaving Maggie to die. We obviously knew Maggie was going to survive, but just that moment, you were like, that is just amazing. And it's one of the best cliffhangers in season 11. Like, just Negan leaving Maggie. I thought that's absolutely amazing. But the real good part about this episode was the Commonwealth stuff in the plot B, which was everyone being interviewed, and we get to see Mercer. We get to see Princess was really good in this episode. I really like the interviews, and it was very fun to have all the interviews going on. And to see the wall, when they find the wall right at the end, and Yumiko is getting the Michonne storyline. I thought that was really good, and it was very well paced. I really liked the plot B. It should have just been the plot A, is what I think. In 6th place is Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 1. This is a very, very strong opener. I really like where we see Strand is. I like how Strand's becoming more of the villain. He wasn't very villainous, but the ending was really good to show Strand's villain. But the best part about this episode was the setup with all the mystery of Padre and all that stuff. And to see the world now, I really liked how it really focused on nuclear apocalypse, nuclear walkers, like what the world looked like. And that is the best part about this episode, and it has to be on this list because it looks like one of the best episodes ever in the Walking Dead universe, just because of how different it is and how unique the episode is because of the set, the place it is. It just looks amazing, and I really, really like the way it looks. I like Strand, how he was trying to be this tough guy, but as soon as Alicia's mentioned, he becomes, oh, I need to save her again. I quite like that, and the shock, like, we knew going into the season he was the bad guy, but if you didn't, like, the shock reveal at the end where he just straight up kills Will, amazing. And it has to be on this because it's just really good TV. It's paced well. It's a very good story. And it's not like the later episodes season where it's just filler. This is just full-on story, and it's really fun to watch. Now we are at the halfway mark, and in 5th place is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 11, and this is Here's Negan. This is the best thing that happened because of COVID. Like, when COVID happened, we got this episode because of it. And that is good. The only good thing that happened from COVID is Here's Negan. Reason why this episode is so good is because the casting for Lucille is perfect. They're like, hey, we got COVID restrictions, what do we do? Cast Jeffrey D. Morgan's wife to play his wife as Negan. Perfect! And I really like how we could see where Negan came from and how he became the savior leader. Like, he went from being this cheating husband to devout husband to, my wife's dead, I got nothing left to live for, I'm gonna be an ass. And it makes sense. I really liked how they humanized Negan even more, even though he was already humanized. And the ending perfect when Negan comes back and smiles in Maggie's face. He's like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to fight for Lucille. And I really liked it. It was really good. The story is amazing. Like, focus on Negan. And a lot happens in this episode. It's a very good episode. It's the best bottle episode we've ever got on The Walking Dead. And because of that, it has to be on this episode. And another thing about this episode, the pacing's amazing. I really like, it looks good. Like, I like Negan at the end, where we get the iconic, like, leather jacket Negan just before he kills people. It is great. This episode is a fun time, and the best episode in season 10, I think. Moving to number 4, and it is another Fear episode. So, Fear the Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 2. I know a lot of people don't like this episode, but I really like this episode because it focuses a lot on the radiation. It adds more to the radiation. Like, later episodes did drop the 6-hour thing. However, just focus on this episode. I really like the aspect of, okay, they die if they're out there for more than 6 hours. And, like, later episodes had more issues with how Morgan was able to get in and out of the radiation zone, but in this episode he wasn't. So there are issues with later episodes, but focusing just on this episode. The plot was amazing. I really liked how the characters, Grace and Morgan, went through, like, an arc. I really liked how they both wanted perfect things, but they were settled, like, okay, this is our life. And they got happy with it, and they accepted their life. I liked how Grace went from wanting to die to be like, I want to live. I like Baby Mo now. I just quite liked it. And the Ghoul people, they are perfect. I liked the Ghoul people. And then the Baby Walker, that was amazing. With, like, Morgan shooting a gun, and then the suitcase starts to move. And he's like, what? Great. This episode does look amazing because they travel so far and they do a lot of traveling. We get lots of different little biomes in the way. Different things have been affected by the radiation, which is amazing. It just looks gorgeous. I love them wearing masks. However, there are some little annoying things with them. Okay, why are they able to touch the Ghoul people when Grace stated, oh, they can't touch the Ghoul people because the Ghoul people can kill them if they touch them, and them take off the masks all the time. There were some issues. However, the pacing was amazing. The story was really good. I really liked how it was very family-focused story. It was a very personal story, and I really like personal stories because Fear can do personal stories well, unlike The Walking Dead. And it was a really good personal story. It was very fun to watch, very entertaining. I really cared about all the characters. It was just really good, and it has to be on this list because this is one of my favourite episodes of Season 7. It's definitely my favourite episode of Season 7. So moving on to number 3 in the list is Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 3. Like, I wanted to put this higher, like, the top 3 were very hard to place. However, I was thinking of this episode and being like, okay, I really didn't like Plot 2. Plot B was really bad. It was about Carol and them lot just trying to get horses. And I found that really boring, and it really brung this down. This was originally going to be number 1 or 2. But I remember Plot B, and I was like, I really hated Plot B. The only good thing about this was the Plot A, which was Maggie and Negan having lots of conflict. I loved it. And this episode looks gorgeous. The pacing's great with Plot A. Plot B ruins it quite a lot. I really don't like Plot B. It looks amazing. Maggie and Negan are on peak arguing this episode. and that is it. It's just the best Maggie and Negan conflict, because after this they start to see eye to eye. This is the episode where they haven't seen eye yet, and they're just fighting, and I love it because of that. Moving to second place is going to be Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 8, the John Dorie death episode. The reason why this episode is my second favourite episode of 2022 is because John Dorie's death was handled perfectly in my opinion. However, it was basically a carbon copy of Nick's death. Like, even down to the music was exactly the same. If you go back and watch Nick's death, they used the same music they used in John Dorie's death. And that was the music they only ever used in Nick's death back then, but they used it in John's, and a child kills John Dorie. However, I feel like it was better executed. It was very good, and I really like how it showed a full circle of John Dorie, like with him being a broken man at the cabin until somebody washes up and saves him, to him being the one who's broken and gets washed up. I really liked it, and we get to see the progression of John and Morgan's relationship from like strangers to best friends. I really liked it. The plot was amazing. It looked great, and it moved forwards the story. I really liked how much it moved forwards the story. This is kind of the catalyst for the end episode. John's death served a purpose, and I really liked how his death served a purpose for the overall season, unlike some other character deaths who are just there for shock factor. His death was written into the story to make sense, and I really like it, and that's why this episode is number 2. Now, in number 1 is going to be Walking Dead, Season 11, Episode 6. This is the Connie episode. The reason why this episode is number 1 for me is because I loved the horror aspect. This is the scariest Walking Dead episode we've got in a while. The reason why is because it is Connie, and we get the death thing again, which I really liked, with like feral humans. I loved the feral humans. I thought it was very fun, and it's very different. Like, Connie and Virgil try to survive in this haunted house, basically full of feral humans. We do have some plot Bs, which are quite bad. I didn't like the Daryl one, because that didn't tie in anything, but we had the other one with Kelly, which tied in, made sense. The ending of this episode wasn't too good, though. This is not a perfect episode, with kind of Virgil just being dropped to the floor, and then he doesn't get picked up again. You're like, is Virgil dead? Like, that doesn't get picked up in this episode. You just find out in episode 8 he survived. But other than that, those few issues, this episode is really good just because of how strong it relies on Connie and the horror aspects, and I thought that was very fun. I really liked this episode because it was very different to all the other episodes. This episode didn't tie much into the Reaper arc, and it was a very kind of bottle episode, but it made sense because we had to find out what happened to Connie, and it was just really good. I really liked the horror. The best part of this episode was the horror aspect, and it has to be episode 1 because of that. But what do you think about this list? Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Do you think some other episodes should be on here? Do you think some of these episodes don't deserve to be on here? I know a lot of people might disagree with all the Fear ones on here. Please tell me down below. And if you want more content, please subscribe for more. And look on the screen for more videos. I recommend you click on them because you'll like them. But this is it from me today. So goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you later.